Hello everyone and welcome to this part 1B of the solo Eidolon hunting guides, the complete saga. So, I am making this part 1B. I was going to make part 2, but then I realized that I may need to do this just to make you understand that this is actually a serious guide. And the other reason is to just give you something to do in the meantime, because it's going to take a while before we get into the really interesting things. So, you know. So yeah, assuming you want to go the whole way and do runs similar to 66 Solo 663 or similar pace, these are strongly recommended that you do, that you complete, unlock, and acquire. Of course, if you have not done these things already. So, first of all, you want to complete the main quest line. Technically, you don't need to do the full quest line, but just do it anyway. Unlock. Then you want to unlock the helmet system and acquire the Arcane launcher. Then these are not necessary but recommended. That you get Amalgam Serration if and when you can. It is currently available from the Thermia Fracture event, by the way. And this video is being uploaded. If you miss it, you will just have to wait until the next event. Then I strongly suggest that you max your intrinsics, or at least get the bare minimum. This is best done with an affinity booster, affinity bless, and during a double affinity event. That way you get 5 times affinity and can do it in one sitting, and if you are, assuming you do it right, which is what I did. Otherwise, just grind it with an affinity booster. That works also. Ideally, what you're looking for is extra arcing speed, blink cooldown reduction, on-call crewmate, reduction for cooldown for mech, and just other benefits such as more ability range and similar things for arcing. The other things you can skip for now, but yeah. So I will just show you which ones you want to go for, assuming you don't want to max everything. So for tactical, you would want rank 8, so you reduce the cooldowns for Arcane Blink and Necromech Summon. And for piloting, you want rank 8 here to get extra arcing speed. Then you want rank 8 here on gunnery that increases damage, ability strength, ability range, and ability efficiency for your arcing. Then you'd want rank 8 here for extra health, shield, and armor for your arcing. Not super necessary, but especially if you're doing slower runs, it comes in really handy. And then you will want rank 9 here on command, so you can have the on-call crewmates in missions outside of Railjack. Then you want to acquire the following things: 1 Volt Prime, 1 Rubico Prime, 1 Tenet Cyclone, Cuba Nucor, or Gaze. And I will recommend them in the order mentioned, so but if you prefer the one of the other two, you can get one of those instead. Then you want a Worm Prime or normal Worm. Can work also, I guess, but I would suggest the Worm Prime since it has more hit points, and the Eidolons like to do damage, so it's just very convenient to have it not die instantly. So that actually is useful. Then you want a Bastelok or Sarpa. Bastelok is better than Sarpa, but you know, both work since we're only going to use it for armor strip. Then you want, as for the arcanes, you want an arcane nullifier. Then you want a Magus repair, a Magus lockdown, and you can also get a Magus melt if you want. Not necessary for now, but as this progresses, and if I get into more advanced things, you want to melt. But really, you can wait with that. It's fine. You don't need to get that now, but you can get it if you want. And then you want an internal onslaught and an internal eradicate. All of these need to be max rank, by the way. that wasn't obvious. And then as for the amp, you want 3. So basically, what the amp is, if you didn't know, is that it's basically your operator weapon. It replaces the original one that you shoot if you press 1, the void beam. So you don't need to know all of that now, but if you don't already. But basically, you build your own weapon for your operator that is much better than the original one, and the parts you want to get is the Ragnarok Prism, Propa Scaffold, and Certus Brace. The Prism here is basically the primary fire, the Propa here is the Scaffold here is a secondary fire, and the Brace is just a stat bonus. And then you take all these, bring it to Little Duck or Onko, and let them build it, put it together, just like a kit gun basically. And then you want to guild this again, just like a kit gun or a Za. Then you want one amp arcane adapter, and you want to put it on the amp you built with those 3 parts. And then you want one Mirage Warframe, normal variant, not Prime. It doesn't work because you need to dump it into the Helminth to unlock the Eclipse Helminth ability that you will later put on your Vault in the 4th slot. So, as for the Syndicates, which you need to rank this up to certain levels just so you can get certain things which you cannot actually trade for with other players. So you need at least rank 4 with Voxelaris, but I recommend rank 5, since then you can get the Arcanes yourself and you won't need to buy it, and also you can sell Arcanes later. And this then requires Solaris United rank 5, by the way, to even get started ranking this syndicate up here, so it's good to get started right away. Then you have rank 1 of the Quill Syndicate, then you need rank 5 of the Holdfast, you need rank 3 of the Intrati, you need rank 3 of the Necroloid Standing, assuming you want a mech. This is not mandatory, but I recommend it. And then I recommend you sign up for New Loka, because you can get Ancient Healer Spectres from them. If you have any other syndicates, I guess it sucks, but you can level this up and sell other things from the syndicates as well, such as weapons, if you're into that kind of thing. Either way, you will make platinum from Eidolons. I wouldn't be too worried about that. The easiest way to level up is to, first of all, you sign up, and then you put the sigil on your Warframes, so when you get affinity, you get points for New Loka, basically. And then you can just level it up whenever you get to the next rank or whatever. So you don't need to actively level this up, so kind of passive is kind of nice, and yeah. As for the Ancient Healers, they used to be crafted, but now you don't need resources anymore. You only trade in your points for finishedly crafted, and also, which is probably even better for many people, is that you don't actually need to wait for them to craft, and you don't need to rush them. They are finishedly crafted and can be used directly in missions, which is great. Thank you, D. A little bit about the syndicates. You might as well max them while you're at it, assuming you don't mind. I mean, you do it once and you're done. So if you don't mind, you might as well do that. If you mind, you can just go for the targets I specified. As for ranking them up, you have a daily cap, so if you want to go as fast as possible, you want to get that cap. At the same time, if you actually have a life and you're busy, take it at your own pace. Don't, sacrifice your own actual life outside of the game to do that. Just take it at your own pace. Yeah. Also, in order to not waste your time, probably do your research to make sure you're not doing it inefficiently. Ranking up most of Syndicates isn't particularly fun for no one. I don't think anyone really thinks it's too fun. There are things that can be fun, but many other things aren't that fun. So just make sure you test out some methods and clock it and see what's the most efficient and best way to do it before you get started. I would make some kind of guide and kind of show you how you can do it, but I don't. I will do that later, then not now, because I'm busy with this at the moment. As for focus, you're going to use the Madurai focus tree, and therefore I mean, of course, you have the waybounds as well, which if you don't know about that, I'll show you that later. But for now, just get started with a Madurai focus lens, put it on your weapon or Warframe of choice, and start gaining a bunch of points with that focus tree. You will get more focus later when you do Eidolons, and you can use that one for the other syndicates through the so-called shards that you get, but for now it's good to have some points before you actually start doing Eidolons. And this can only be done after completing the second dream quest, by the way. Okay, so just why do you have to do so much, or why is there so much? Yes. On a serious note, though, Eidolons are probably the only true endgame activity at the moment, so it's compared to many other things such as relics or whatever else you do if you don't do Eidolons, which I don't even know what people do in the game anymore, but yeah, it requires a lot, and it isn't necessarily that it requires it per definition. It's not like you cannot do it with less gear, but it's just many things are very, very convenient, and doing without them is just handicapping yourself. So just get this. Right, so for those of you who think it is all and still don't get it, for you others, warning around incoming, by the way, just to let you know beforehand, the video really is done. I'm just going to explain why the gear requirement is so high for those who may not understand, so watch this before you comment about that, otherwise you can leave. Thank you for watching. So, I am going to explain why eidolons were originally introduced, what they are supposed to be, because some people may not know that, which is understandable, because maybe you joined later or you joined last year or whatever. Originally, Digital Extremes introduced the first Eidolon to be a challenge to board veterans of the game who were too powerful for the rest of the game. It was supposed to be a challenge, but the veterans were still bored. So then the Digital Extremes upped the game and introduced two more Eidolons, this time larger, stronger, and more powerful than the first one. Again, to simulate bored players who thought that the game was too easy still. If you think that the gear requirements are too much or that Eidolons are too difficult, understand that they are supposed to require the best of the best equipment, and they are supposed to make your legendary to mastery rank friend who has everything sweat. If you want them to make more easy, or wish for that, or trying to make digital streams make them more easy or whatever, understand that they have already done that about 10 times maybe. I don't know how many because I haven't kept track, but just to mention a few things they have done. So they have lowered the shield values of them, and they have over and over introduced more and more powerful gear and equipment. So in reality, if you just want them to be easier, or like if they were to be made easier, they would just ruin the whole point of the Eidolons, since they are supposed to be difficult and challenging, because the reality is that for many veterans, that's what they find fun, and that's why they don't play the rest of the game, because they don't enjoy it, because everything dies in one hit and cannot put up a fight. So, if that's your thing, there is the rest of the game where everything dies super easily. If you want it to be easy, that's for you. And if the reason you say that is because you want the Arcanes, one, you can just trade for them. Like making Platinum isn't difficult if you just want the Arcanes, and if you want to make them yourself, understand that they're kind of supposed to be like an in-game reward. They're not supposed to be something you get very easily, unlike, I don't know, whatever else. So they are locked behind this end game activity, and also understand that if you really want them or think you need them, you don't need them. They are literally just a luxury to give you extra energy, or to give you slightly more, or to give you some more fire rate or whatever. Absolutely not needed, especially if you don't do any endgame activities anyway. So the reason I say this is because is that I heard recently that there are apparently people saying that Eidolons are too difficult, or at least that they have been, and that they were happy about the changes recently that made them a lot easier, especially for solo. Basically, in my opinion, as a veteran player, they basically removed the whole like requirement for skill at all. Which I can assure you, like, that in the eyes of true veteran of the game, they really aren't difficult, and especially not compared to what they used to be. So yeah, I truly hope that they don't that they aren't made easier and they're supposed to be difficult, because it's literally the only thing veterans have gotten from titular strings, besides maybe Profit Taker. If you want to be generous, as something fun to do. So yeah, it's not supposed to be. Otherwise, you just ruin the whole point of them, and why introduce them to begin with. Okay, bye.